Thank you for joining us on this program today. This is Global Matters, a program will bring you global issues that shape the world, issues of international and global agenda that determine our national and common interests, especially in Africa and indeed in Nigeria. My name is Tunde Alabi. It's a pleasure to have you join us on the program again. Thank you, and we really look forward to a very interesting program on this edition of Global Matters. On our program today, we'll be taking a look at the rearrest of the leader of the indigenous people of Biafra, Nnamdi Kanu, whose arrest was announced on Tuesday by the Nigerian government. The government, however, failed to give details of how Nnamdi Kanu was arrested. He was immediately arraigned before Justice Binta Nyako of the Federal High Court Abuja almost 4 years after he was granted bail. He has since been detained in the DSS facility pending his arraignment in court on the 26th of July. While speaking on his arrest, the Attorney General of the Federation, Abubakar Malami, said that the IPOB leader was intercepted through the collaborative efforts of the Nigerian intelligence security services, that he has been brought back to Nigeria in order to continue to face trial after disappearing while on bail on an 11-count charge against him. The government has accused Nnamdi Kanu of engaging in subversive activities that include inciting violence through television, radio, and online broadcasts against the Nigerian state and its institutions, and has therefore been produced before a federal high court in continuation of the hearing of his case, in respect to which he evaded and jumped bail. Of serious concern to us in this program is the circumstances surrounding the rearrest of Kanu, which has been shrouded in secrecy by the government of Nigeria. The question is, why is the government not disclosing the country from where Nnamdi Kanu was intercepted and arrested and the process of his extradition? While the British government has denied being involved in Nnamdi Kanu's extradition, it also stated that he was not arrested in the United Kingdom. Nnamdi Kanu's family members have, however, come out to say that the IPOB leader was abducted in Kenya, according to them, and subjected to extraordinary rendition. Kanu, a British citizen, has been leading a movement where he wields so much enormous influence. It is believed that he holds dual citizenship. Meanwhile, the British High Commission in Nigeria said that it was in the process of seeking further clarification from the Nigerian government about the circumstances of Nnamdi Kanu's arrest. It added that the British government expects any trial or legal proceedings regarding Nnamdi Kanu, its citizens, to follow due process. The British High Commission has, however, promised to provide the IPOB leader consular assistance. While the Nigerian government continues to keep as a top secret the circumstances surrounding the IPOB leader's arrest, we should look at Nnamdi Kanu's circumstances, the legal issues around the possible extradition of a British citizen from Britain or outside the United Kingdom, the collaboration of Interpol in such extradition as required by international law, the possibility as claimed by Kanu's family members that the process of his arrest might not have followed the international due processes, accounting for probably why the Nigerian government may have refused to disclose the process and modalities for his arrest. The country involved and the regional Interpol responsible for this collaboration. Joining us on the program today to try and make sense of the puzzle the Nigerian government has created around Nnamdi Kanu's arrest and extradition are two legal luminaries from the United Kingdom, Kingsley Oyemine. Kingsley is a practicing solicitor and barrister in London, and Gbenga Odunton. Gbenga is an associate professor of international law at Kent Law School at the University of Kent in the United Kingdom. We will be going on a short break. We'll be taking this report on how Nnamdi Kanu was arrested, as was given to us in a public address, media interview granted by the representatives of the Nigerian government. When we come back from the break, we'll look at the issues, the international puzzle created by the Nigerian government on Nnamdi Kanu's arrest and extradition after this report. Don't get away, it's going to be an interesting one.
The arrival of Nnamdi Kanu to the court created a rowdy situation, and he was shielded from the crowd as people made frantic efforts to cite him. As he was brought into the courtroom in handcuffs. The arrest of Kanu was with the collaboration of Interpol, and his appearance has become a big issue, having jumped bail when he first went through the trial process in 2015. The court is continuing the process which was aborted with his escape from Nigeria, and for now, he is being tried on the same charge of terrorism, treasonable felony, unlawful possession of firearms, and management of unlawful society. Justice Binta Nyako granted him the opportunity to explain why he jumped bail. He told the court that his house was invaded by security operatives and his life was threatened. Kanu was reacting to the government counsel Shuaibu Labaran that Kanu jumped bail granted him by the court to escape trial. Labaran applied to the court for an order to remand Kanu in the custody of the Department of State Service. The counsel said that the request became necessary because lawyers to Kanu were yet to be informed of his rearrest.
We were witness to, should I say, the rearrangement per se, to the rearrest and the rearrangement of Mr. Nnamdi Kanu in court today. We were fortunate enough to be within the court premises while the DSS came to court with Mr. Nnamdi Kanu. And we were also privy to be in court while a date was fixed for the continuation of his trial, which is the 26th day of July 2021. And then in the interim, he's been ordered to be remanded in custody of the state.
Justice Binta Nyako granted the request and ordered that Kanu be kept in the custody of the DSS till July 26th. Justice Binta Nyako, who had granted Nnamdi Kanu bail on ground of ill health, revoked the bail on March 2019 and issued bench warrant for his arrest in any part of the country. Shibuso.
All right, welcome back and thank you for joining us on the program today. It is Global Matter. We're looking at the international puzzle of the arrest and extradition of Nnamdi Kanu. Joining us on the program today is Kingsley Oyeminim. Kingsley is a solicitor and a barrister at Case Law Solicitors in London, and we are also joined by Benga Odunton. Benga Odunton is an associate professor at the Associate Professor of International Law at Kent Law School, the University of Kent, also in the United Kingdom. Gentlemen, thank you for taking the time to join us on the program today. Let me start with you, Kingsley. I'm sure you heard my intro as to the puzzle that's been created by the Nigerian government surrounding the arrest and extradition of Nnamdi Kanu. Take us through, you as a lawyer in the United Kingdom, what are the processes required by the British justice system for a British citizen to be extradited from the United Kingdom or from anywhere in the world? Kingsley. Kingsley,
Sorry. Thank you for having me on your program today. First, let me correct the introduction. I am a solicitor of England and Wales out here in the UK. I'm not a barrister in this jurisdiction. I'm an attorney in a different jurisdiction, but a barrister also in Nigeria. Yes. So the extradition processes, it's typically brought under the Extradition Act of 2003 out here in the UK. Now, for typical extradition requests from a country outside the European Union needs to be made officially through the right channels to the Home Office. So the Home Office through the typical consulate services makes that request. So in this instance, it will be from Nigeria, making it to the Home Office out here via the CPS. So the CPS gets a request for extradition, and the CPS or the Home Office would act on behalf of the third country who's made that request. The CPS typically would start the process of making representation to the relevant court, usually Westminster Magistrate Court here in London. Now, a judge will have to sit and listen to the case for the request for extradition brought by that third country via the CPS or the Home Office. It does have stages. Certain consideration has to be made. One of those considerations are things like, how much of a fair trial would the individual be able to be given? in that home country. It is the country that they're looking to extradite, known for breaching international laws as it relates to Article 3. They would also consider the individual's health, the circumstances in the UK here. Do they have family? They look at their Article 8 rights before those decisions are made. When those decisions are finally made, if it is granted, it is not a final decision. The individual has a right of appeal up until the Supreme Court. Okay? If unsuccessful, then a grant is made. And where it is made, it is now at a point of enforcement. So the Home Office could use bodies like Interpol for their purpose. So Interpol is brought in. Interpol typically uses a process.
Can I put you on hold?
Yeah.
So let me put you on hold. So after those processes have been followed up to the Supreme Court and the government, or this request granted, other financial to the Supreme Court. Now it goes back to the CPS or to the Home Office, who will now engage the services of the Interpol. Yes?
That is right. So
right.
Interpol can come in. Interpol can come in at this point. The request obviously has to be made. Interpol uses what they call red notices. Okay, and what they typically do is that a notice is put out there for the for this particular individual at airports, various countries, and if they come across the relevant individual, they are arrested and then processed to the home country that made that request. So that is the but it also goes through a diplomatic channel to get to all this process. So usually the British consulate in Nigeria will be made aware of the request for extradition, because that's how the CPS and the Home Office comes through the process.
Okay, from your contact in the United Kingdom as a solicitor, a practicing solicitor who has probably, I understand you have represented some members of IPOB in London at some point during a process of deportation. Are you aware if the Nigerian government did make any request to the British government for the extradition of Nnamdi Kanu?
No, I don't have that. I don't have that information. I believe that information that is the public domain presently is very vague. I also am aware that the Nigerian government hasn't yet clarified. I know the initial report, from what I read, understood, was that they had said Interpol had assisted, and then subsequently there was a statement that they had used other agencies. Now we don't know what those other agencies were that was being referred to. In terms of your statement about representing IPOB members, our practice, amongst others, have immigration departments, and we have represented people of different nationalities who have sought asylum in this case. Most of those nationalities are Nigerian nationality. Those from the Igbo extract, obviously IPOB members who we have in the past provided representation under the asylum scheme that the UK here has provided for them, because the argument has been that they've been fleeing persecution from the Nigerian government.
Okay, before I go to Benga, certainly the UK court system is not a secret system. If the Nigerian government had made a form of extradition request, it certainly would go through the diplomatic process to CPS and then to the court process, which will be made known. The information which we do not have at the moment, no record of the Nigerian government making any form of application extradition request to the British government, because the court system in the UK, as far as we are aware, I don't know if things have changed now, it's not a secret system, is it? Kingsley?
I'm sorry, was that question was to me? I
yes.
think you mentioned Benga's name.
Yes.
No. Tunde, the system here is a very open system. My firm undertakes a lot of extradition matters, and we have in the past. It is an open system. You make the formal application to the relevant authorities. We have been able to defend individuals who have been actually the countries, the European countries, have actually wanted to extradite to European countries, and we represent them. It's an open system.
Okay.
People come in there to listen. So if you want to sit in court as far as the judge has no issues with it. You come in there and have a seat and listen to the proceedings.
So it's an open system. So because it's an open system, we do not have on record anywhere where the representation has been made to any of the British courts as to their extradition. We do not have it. Probably they are there, but because it's an open system, we do not have it, and we cannot confirm that at the moment. Let me go to Benga. Benga, thank you for taking the time out of your very busy schedule in lecturing at the University of Kent to be part of this program. Thanks a lot. You as a teacher of international law, considering the circumstances surrounding Nnamdi Kanu'S arrest, the family members have accused the government of abducting, but the government said no, they did not abduct, they arrested. The government said they extradited. The family members said there was a process of rendition as against international law. From these puzzles created by the Nigerian government, especially non-disclosure of the processes, we should not be made secret by any point. How would you describe the entire process? As the head of the parties broken international law in this matter, especially the Nigerian government, talk us through what your feelings are.
Thank you very much, Tunde. My instincts are that we all have to calm down and wait on the government of Nigeria to give us more information. It's within their prerogative as a sovereign state to have state secrets, to have state operations. This is global practice across all countries in the world. You don't tell countries when they have to release information and who to and how, because they have sources they have to protect, they have the future to take care of. So if, for instance, they have to protect the government of a certain state before its local elections, they have every right to keep silent for a while. So we just have to wait. They will come out when they will come out.
But
if they don't come out on their own, can I finish?
Yes, go on.
If they don't come out on their own, the news will come out of other sources. And I would think that would be the wrong way to go about it, because then perhaps fake news will come first rather than the real thing. So let's give them some reasonable time to come out with their version of what has happened. But as to the legality of what has happened, again, we can't say, because the only thing we are sure of is that the suspect is now in the hands of the Nigerian government. We don't know exactly under what condition. So we can't lay blame anywhere as of yet. We can only talk about the regular principles of international law, that extradition takes place between countries. Extradition is an action where one jurisdiction gives and delivers a person to another state for either committing an offense or for the purposes of receiving prosecution and then punishment for committing an offense. Rendition, on the other hand, relies less on formal structures of law, formal structures of treaties. Rendition takes place all the time as well. In fact, it takes place more in the practice of the developed countries than the developing countries. That's why I laugh when people say, oh, we should rush and go and tell the Britain about this. And I just laugh. And I say, you are trying to complain about death to pestilence. The UK and the US have been practicing rendition and extraordinary rendition over the last 20 years liberally. They yank people off streets in various capitals around the world, bring them sometimes back home, sometimes take them to third states for torture. They do that, and it's on record. They don't even hide it. They are not denying it. So rushing to Britain or the US to tell them about Nigeria bringing Kanu possibly from Kenya or from Ethiopia, unless they have political interest involved, they will laugh. They will actually laugh, because that's what states do. There's a book called The Games Nations Play. Nations play by the books, and sometimes they play by politics. That's what they have to do to survive.
Right, so where is the place of treaties and provisions guaranteeing human rights?
Oh, that's fine. Human rights treaties guarantees that you must have a fair trial, and to the best of my knowledge, within hours of the possibility, Nnamdi Kanu, was taken to to present him before a court. He appeared to not look as if we don't have enough information. Let's put it that way. But he was taken to court, and the understanding is that he will be reproduced before a court for the continuation of his trial very soon. I wonder what could be wrong with that.
Okay, you wonder what could be wrong with that. All right, Kingsley, let me come back to you. I mean, you've heard the position of Benga that, look, rendition is not a big deal. This is disclosed. It's practiced by everywhere. It's practiced everywhere around the world by states. It's a process of taking people, yanking people off the street. And, well, they make this no big deal about it. So what's the big deal about what has happened? Let us assume that it is indeed rendition or not extradition. Would you agree with Benga that there has been no contravention as to the human rights of Nnamdi Kanu or a breach of international law in this matter, especially when it involves a British citizen?
Well, first, Tunde, from the legal perspective, rendition is unlawful. It is illegal. There are set out procedures where a particular country seeks an individual for a particular crime. Now, where those procedures are not followed, there has to be cogent reason, and there's no reason whatsoever to then try and use a process that is unlawful when it's quite possible to apply for one through the normal process. So let's assume from what we've known so far, which is yet to be checked out, that Nnamdi Kanu was in Kenya. The normal process, which should be expected of the Nigerian government, will be to make a formal application in accordance with the law, the Kenyan law, for extradition as it may be, and follow that procedure in compliance with international guidelines. Okay? Now, when that is made, it's then left for a judge in Kenya to make a decision and make their finding. And if it is the case that they find that that Nnamdi Kanu should be extradited to Nigeria, then that's fine. There will not be any complaint, because nobody can come on air and argue that there's breach of any sort of his human right. But in an instance where that process has not been followed, and the gentleman has been picked up, be it with the assistance of the Kenyan government or not, although at this point we're not sure what the position is. If that was the case, that he was picked up en route, then it is an illegal process, and I'm sure that there's no lawyer that will come on air and say to you that there's no questions, question mark as to how, if it is true that he was actually brought in through that process, then yes, it is unlawful and it is illegal.
Right.
Now,
right, Kingsley, I'm afraid it's getting interesting, but I need to go now. In the course of the week, probably next week, we'll know more about this case. Probably the Nigerian government will come up, but I need to close the program now, unfortunately, when it is getting interesting. Hopefully, when we come back next week, we'll be reviewing the processes further and the law regarding this angle. You lawyers have taken different positions. We'll continue from this point when we come back next week. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Stay out of trouble. Thank you, Kingsley. Thank you, Benga. Thanks a lot, guys.
thank you very much, today. Thanks for having me.
Thank you.